Hello, and thank you so much for letting me join you by means of this video, and a special thanks to Her Excellency, Republic of the Marshall Islands President Hilda Heine, and the rest of the entire Climate Vulnerable Forum for convening this extremely important virtual summit. Today is the Thanksgiving holiday here in my country, and for us it serves as a time to give thanks for the blessings in our lives and to reflect upon the things we may be taking for granted. Some of us, including myself, are able to take for granted that our homelands will continue to exist, and yet we're keenly aware that many of the small island nations within the CVF face the daunting possibility that theirs could become casualties of the climate crisis sooner rather than later. And that's why we convene here from our own corners of the globe and on the eve of the Conference of the Parties 24 to press for the urgent ambition that is needed to solve the climate crisis and mitigate its most disastrous effects. Normally, I start a talk like this by highlighting three questions. Must we change? Can we change? And will we change? But I'm well aware that the Pacific region has come up with three questions of their own, rooted deeply in the tradition of Talanoa. These questions reflect a similar concept, but are sped up for higher ambition. Where are we? Where do we want to go? And how do we get there? Well, the IPCC's recent special report on the impacts of 1.5 degrees Celsius increased warming makes it abundantly clear to the entire world how urgently we need to have increased ambition and take more action. Every day, we're still pouring 110 million tons of global warming pollution into the thin shell of atmosphere around our planet as if it's an open sewer. And all of the extra heat energy trapped by man-made global warming pollution that stays in the atmosphere for long periods of time is now equal to the amount of heat energy that would be released by 500,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding on Earth every single day. Unimaginable, but happening. I don't need to tell you about the effects of all that extra heat energy. Of course, the devastation left by typhoons and super typhoons such as Yolanda, Patricia, and Yutu, and others tell us all that we need to know, not to mention the rising sea levels that are reducing the size of our land masses and inundating fresh water with saline water. For the countries of the Climate Vulnerable Forum, that leaves only one option for where we want to go, and that is staying below 1.5 degrees Celsius. And of course, the CVF nations have been global leaders on this front. Thank you. Committing yourselves to reaching 100% domestic renewable energy production as rapidly as possible, while simultaneously working to end energy poverty and protect against water and food scarcity. But the ambitions of the CVF alone obviously will not be enough to get the world where we need to be. You are leaders among us on the road to a safe climate for all, but the entire rest of the world, especially the major polluters like my country, China, the EU, India, must join together and follow your leadership. I myself continue to remain hopeful that we can and that we will solve the climate crisis. There will always be setbacks, and there's plenty of cause for discouragement if you look for it, but there's also a lot of momentum. The wind is in our sails. Clean, renewable energy is now cost competitive with fossil fuel sources in a rapidly growing number of areas all around the room, and soon will be competitive and even cheaper everywhere. And the rising costs of climate pollution are obviously affecting people's daily lives and affecting people in every corner of the globe, people who are now rightly demanding action. The last piece of the puzzle we face is, will we change, or Rather, do we have the will to change? And I'm convinced we have that will within us. The historic accomplishment represented by the Paris Agreement proves that. But our journey was only beginning when we reached that milestone, and we knew all along this work would not be easy and that more would be required of us. Now we know that our work must be redoubled. We must continue to build the will to act on the climate crisis in every part of our societies, in every country. In my country, it has been found in a growing list of governors of states and mayors of cities and leaders of businesses and civic organizations, all of whom have announced their continued support of the Paris Agreement, with some leaders like those in California following the CVF's lead by committing to 100% carbon-free clean electricity by 2045. So I urge you to make the most of this moment and push with all your might for outcomes that do galvanize the momentum we need ahead of COP24 and the 2019 UN Climate Summit, and particularly those outcomes that bridge gaps and support the building of political will among your peers, the leaders of other countries. After all, the will to act, as I often remind people, is really and truly itself a renewable resource. Thank you.